Hello, this is Korith Landwalker, and welcome to my live stream of Star Citizen. I'll be spending a couple hours going through the game, just doing whatever floats the boat for the day. This will be the last stream in all likelihood before the next big patch rolls in. 3.10. 3.10 promises to bring a lot of changes, most of which are going to be involved with the flight model of the game and with targeting in the game. So, by the time I roll this stream next week, I am probably going to be having to relearn everything that I've learned. Targeting, fighting, landing. I understand atmospheric flight is going to be a new adventure. But for now, we're still in 3.9. Whatever, so we're going to enjoy it while it lasts. Once we get past the loading screen here, I believe, there we go. And I am currently in Microtech. Well, actually, I'm in New Babbage on Microtech. Microtech is owned for... Well, let me rephrase that. Microtech is named for the corporation that owns the planet. And the corporation is... Well, you can kind of compare it with Apple. It certainly gives me that feel. Or maybe Google. One of those high-tech computer network kind of things. It's certainly not industrial, it's certainly not a factory, although they do have a store called Factory Line that will be opening up in 3.10. Architect's going to undergo its own mutations. I'm pretty sure that the last time I logged out in here was because the elevator buttons were not working. You see this panel here? There is a bug that exists sometimes where you enter the elevator and find that there are no entries listed. That is a horrible, horrible thing to have happen, particularly because it means you can't get anywhere. You can't leave the hotel, you can't get out of the landing bay for your spaceport, all sorts of bad things. The hotel, incidentally, here is the Aspire Grand. It is the big building. If you look at that big building right here in the center, that's this building. Now, the good news is I'm pretty sure that I'm topped up on food and water. Yep, 100% hydration, 100% nutrition. I'm even 100% healthy. So, it's all good right now. So I don't have any need to go to the common area, which is the main shopping district of Microtech. So I'm going to take the tram here, or the capsule.
Now approaching station. Stand clear of disembarking passengers.
To the New Babbage spaceport. Now, unlike the trams in the areas of Lorville and Area 18, you can't actually sit down in these things.
Careful, doors are now closing.
Simply put, they're uninteractable. It's a shame, but there you have it. And I seem to have a co-passenger in the capsule here who is wearing one of the more rugged suits of armor out there. I'm not even wearing armor right now. I am just in my civilian clothing right now. I always seem to be in the long coat, no matter what MMO I do. If there's one available, my main character will usually have one. As a affectation I picked up from my days in Star Wars Galaxies, when my nom de guerre, Korith Landwalker, he was obviously a ranger, and he tended to go around in a camo camo patterned trench coat. Spec Ops duster, or whatever they were calling it at that particular period in time. And I kind of picked that up when I was doing City of Heroes with my character, the old Ranger, keeping on the theme there. And he had the bright, well, not quite bright green. It was kind of a darker green, I guess, but it was still a trench coat. Okay, well, this could be entertaining. Let's join the party and... Okay, let's see. Okay. I think I'm going to need to get my uniform on here, because I can't actually see the chat if I'm and the party was disbanded when I wasn't looking. Okay, well, you know. Oh, actually, no. Okay, well, I'm kind of curious. Let's see if there's anything to the party invite or not. I was originally expecting to spend the day just hopping in a ship and blowing stuff up. But, you know, I'm willing to try some things out here. But right now, all I've got is silence. And if I'm not going to get any communication on these guys, then... nothing seems to be happening here. Okay, well, you know, not everything works out nice, does it? I think these are notifications. Okay, well, you know, silence is not a virtue in this game. And we'll close those out. And we'll get back to the original plan. My ships here at Babbage include the Freelancer and the Aurora. So let's take a look at possible missions here. None of them seem to be local. Well, we've got one for a bounty, but you know, that may or may not actually be local. And some delivery assignments. So let me see if there's a decent delivery assignment that will take me towards the Hurston or Arccore area, or even Crusader. Preferably from, you know, this area. Well, all the possibilities kind of stink at the moment. So why don't we just hop into Freelancer and head towards... I think Everest Harbor is the way to go. Everest will at least have a bunch of bounty hunting missions or missions for other stuff, and the whole goal for the day is basically blow ships up. Here we go. Now, I do not plan to blow them up with the Freelancer, however. The Freelancer is certainly capable of running crime stat bounties. Ooh, right, I forgot all about these. Jeez. I didn't mean to do that. That's right. When I logged off last time around when I was playing, I had the, some stuff to sell. And I got glitched out because of the elevator buttons I mentioned. So that means I never actually sold any of this stuff. Well. Okay. Oh, that does not be talking about 30Ks now. Yep, 30Ks incoming. I guess all that, all the cargo there is going to be largely irrelevant in a second because crash. Well, this is a great way to start, especially because that means the ship is history. It's going to have to be claimed again. On the bright side, I don't feel so bad about that whole party thing now. This is not what you would call a promising start for the day. We're 10 minutes in, and I've already hit a server crash. Saying that this bodes ill for the day is probably putting it kindly. And now I've lost the money that was involved with all that cargo too. But on the bright side, chances are I'd be losing all that money anyway because the big patch will come in, and if it's anything like the last big patch, even though they said it wouldn't, I lost 700k AUEC. So it's not like I expect to have any money available at that point. Alright, here we go again. Maybe I'll be lucky the server crash occurred before I did the call to Freelancer, and it'll still be there. I am not exactly optimistic, however. Alright, back in the hotel, back to the lobby, back to the capsule. And I see general chat is as entertaining to watch as usual, so we're just going to turn that off for a bit. I'll kick it back on at some later moment. So, here we are again. Let's see if I can manage to get off the planet this time around. Honestly, this whole server crash thing, it's annoying. And only the fact that we're still in alpha makes it forgivable, really, because I would like to think that in any game that was out there for release, you would not have to worry about it. Still, it's frustrating to think that it still happens on an alarmingly regular basis. Now, one of the big bits of technology that they're apparently working on involves something called server meshing, which will allow servers with more than 50 people in them at a time. How that's going to work out, I don't know. I can't see them doing it before they put in new star systems. Because having a bunch of people in one star system, I think, would be a strain on any server. Being able to spread out large numbers of people across multiple star systems, much more doable. Or so it would seem to me. I am no expert in the whole networking thing. That was never my field, so server meshing is going to be apparently one of the big deals, but I don't see it happening until at least the release of the next star system, slated to be Pyro. Pyro, as I understand it, is going to be one of the seriously lawless systems in the game. So hopefully all the pirates will go there. Don't bet on it. Where pirates go tend to be the places where there's money to be made. And if Pyro is not such a place, they will stay in Stanton, which is this system. So, you know, good times. There are some serious optimists out there who like to think Pyro will be coming in by the end of the year. I think they're hopelessly deluded. The finishing up of Stanton isn't slated till Q1 or 2 of next year. Currently, as always, dates are subject to change. And if they haven't gotten all that taken care of, I can't see them having Pyro ready to go. Then again, if the only thing they plan to do to introduce Pyro is just have basic planets with no actual landing zones or anything like that, it might be doable. I mean, they were able to get the moons of Microtech nailed down pretty quickly, and that's a thing to be optimistic by. And it says Microtech, and that means it's gone. It was worth a hope, but oh well. So that leaves me with it leaves me with 220 some. So I'm only like 70k down. I didn't exactly have huge profit kind of things. It's not like I was carrying huge loads of Laranite, thankfully. Okay, so my other ship here is the RSI Aurora. You know what? That may not be a bad way to start. For those unfamiliar with Star Citizen, the cheapest game packages involve 2 vessels. Either one of these packages will allow you to play the game. And that would be the Mustang. There we go. That would be the Mustang, which is a pure light fighter. Or the Aurora. And technically it is the Aurora MR. Now the Aurora MR, it's not exactly what you would call an attractive ship. It's basically a flying box. I dread to see how the atmospheric flight in 310 is going to impact this. It'll be fun to find out, though. It's got 2 entrances, 1 on each side. A bed, so you can log off in space inside your Aurora. And this little cabin here will allow you to do box delivery missions. Now, as far as equipment goes on the ship, going to my vehicle loadout manager, with the understanding that I probably did not do all that much on this ship. Okay, I might have done it, because I'm currently armed with a quartet of Yellow Jacket GT-210s, which are size 1 guns. They're all gimbaled, which means that I don't have to worry about my extremely horrible aim with fixed weapons. And I think that might be the only thing that I've done on this ship. I can't remember if I threw the gimbals on there or if they were already on here. I know 2 of them were already on there. I don't know if all 4 were. Okay, let's power the ship on.
Welcome to Robert Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System check.
We have 6 multifunctional displays, which is something I'm always a fan of. And they're easily visible.
You are clear to launch.
Now let's see if I've got enough fuel in here. Do some repair, do some refueling. because I want to make sure that I have enough fuel to get me to Hurston. And while I was originally saying that I was going to go to Everest Harbor first, I'm thinking what I might actually do instead is just fly the Aurora to do my initial bounty hunts. I can't help but notice that my fuel has not actually refueled. Let's try one at a time to see what happens. Okay, so it's not actually going to fuel me up. It's an alpha. It's an alpha.
Takeoff complete.
That is the mantra.
Front.
So here we are, my flying box into the storm. Oh yeah, it's also got a pair of missiles up top. All size 1, of course. So let's get this puppy out of atmosphere. I'm sitting at roughly 146 meters a second for its, what is it, standard combat maneuver speed? I think that's the abbreviation for SEM. It's not a blindingly fast ship, it's a starter ship. That's what it is, you have to understand that. It's a starter ship. And I like it better than the Mustang because of the little cabin behind me. Because I can do box delivery missions in this where I can't do it in the Mustang. All that said, this is a truly... it's a box. It's a flying box. It is not my favorite ship. However, because it can do box deliveries, and because it can fight, it can make you credits. It can make you credits. I have proved that to myself by getting myself roughly 100,000 credits in less than a week. Which I thought was... oh... required fuel is 350, I'm not going to make it there. Okay, my one hope is that this space station will let me do the refuel thing. Because... well, I suppose I could try Port Tressler first. Port Tressler is the space station above New Babbage, in more or less geosync, and I think I'll try that first. All I want to do is refuel. If I refuel, then I'll probably have enough to get me to Hurston.
Quantum drive is now off.
While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to hop over to my menu here to my guns, and I'm going to put everything on the same weapons group. Because that way I don't have to worry about abusing both mouse buttons to shoot at things. Ballistic weapons, so you know I'm wasting ammunition when I do that, but hopefully I'll be able to restock the weapons as well. I certainly have enough credits to do that. I just have to get to a landing bay. I'm not entirely sure if I'm approaching the underside or if I'm upside down. Yes, space is relative. But I think I'm underneath because those 3 docking bays down here are where capital ships can dock up. Okay, let's get a landing assignment.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
And ironically enough, I need to dip back underneath. I am not in love with where they put the landing pads. doesn't give you a whole lot of room to maneuver to take off. When you take off from terrestrial, you have to primarily be thinking horizontal as opposed to vertical takeoff, because otherwise you'll hit that ring right above me.
Landing gear deployed.
Now, out of sheer paranoia, I'm going to attempt a trick that was popular when all the landing pads were bugged, which was basically hover and restock. There we go. Look at that fuel go up. That'll give you to Hurston. Hydrogen fuel up.
Is at 100%.
Repairs should be next. I don't expect a whole lot. In fact, nothing actually flashed there because there wasn't a whole lot to repair. And I'm pretty sure all my ballistics have been restocked. So I don't really feel the need to actually land. So horizontal out. And while I'm doing that, and it seems that, oh, okay. I already had it targeted. Haha. Embarrassing. Got a little frost or something on my windshield on the left. Oh, and on the right too.
Quantum drive is now on. Landing gear raised.
Yeah, sometimes I forget to raise my landing gear manually. Luckily, when you jump into quantum travel, it automatically brings it up. 3 cheers for spaceship systems that are smarter than I am. It's going to take us a bit to get to Hurston. 442 seconds, which is going to be a fairly lengthy trip. I suppose I could have invested in a better quantum drive. It would use more fuel, but it would get me there faster. Of course, admittedly, if it used more fuel, I probably wouldn't be able to get there at all. So, spending the 5 minutes. Could look over the loadout I've got on this ship. It's mostly stock. I haven't put on anything special. I haven't upgraded the shields, haven't upgraded the quantum drive. Now, fun fact is you can swap this stuff out. If you have multiple ships, you can swap out equipment. But I'm lazy. Or maybe just unmotivated. That would probably be better. I usually don't upgrade the quantum drive, but I did do it on my Carrack because, God, the Carrack was slow as molasses. It has a large fuel tank, and with the default quantum drive, you could go across the system a dozen times and not even be winded, but it would take you forever. All the default stuff here for the shields and the coolers, the power plant. Why mess with a winning formula? The weapons, as mentioned before, I have a Yellow Jacket GT210 with our ballistic repeaters. And I've got the, over here, Marksman 1 missiles, which are size 1 missiles. Don't expect them to do much against anything except, well, light fighters. And finally, paint. Shockingly, I don't have anything that involves paint. Paint is something you can buy on the RSI store for real money, which I have not done because no motivation. I think that they're going to be selling some paints in-game with the next patch. I'm not sure. I thought I'd read that somewhere, but not recently enough to be able to confirm that without a reasonable doubt. Button worth exploring on the Mobiglass that I'm sure gets overlooked by a bunch of people. They just note it and then ignore it. Is the journal. Among other things, it has a button for criminal record, which will populate whenever you do something bad, including, information about fees and fines. You have information about the various planets or the jurisdictions of those planets, which will include a list of felonies, misdemeanors, the charges, the fines that get accumulated with them. They tell you what you can and cannot transport or sell. Mentioned a couple of the drugs that are controlled substances. It is not a bad thing to read through at least once. And it's pretty similar for all of them. Although the Levski one, the People's Alliance, is a little bit of a different situation because they don't align themselves with the United Empire of Earth. In fact, here you have one of their visitors things. Don't pursue a UEE agenda while within our community. Now, at some point, Levski is going to wind up in another solar system. I'm not entirely sure of the story why they put it in Stanton in the first place. I think it has to do with some tech they wanted to test. I don't know. Also, authorization for bounty hunting. When you do the first bounty hunting mission, bounty hunter pro tem or something like that, you succeed that, you get put on the authorized operator list, and you can start, well, hunting down players. Not to mention get a better variety of bounty hunting missions. Better nutrition, better you. What this will help with is understanding the effects of the food and water that you can drink. And finally, you've got a couple other things here too that I'm going to skip right now because it sounds like we're about to come out of the quantum travel into Hurston. And that means it's almost time for the fun to begin.
Flare selected.
We're maybe 30 seconds out. We are decelerating, so I'm probably a little off on my timing. I do not believe I've gotten the indicator of that. In fact, I can see on the upper right. We are not yet in the Gamma ray radius, I guess, to indicate that Hurston is communicating with us, and therefore I cannot pick up any of the crime stat bounties until I do. Now, I want to say straight up that I am not going to be doing any PvP bounty hunting here, because A, I'm not very good with PvP, and B, more importantly, if I were going to do PvP, an Aurora would not be my choice of vehicle to do it in. I'm flying a box. Okay. There we go. Hurston Dynamics jurisdiction has been entered. Comms link is established, and that means I can look for contracts. We'll start simple here. We'll do a Crime Stat 2 contract. Anytime you see a CS on the bounty contracts, that indicates that it is an NPC AI opponent. If you see them prefaced by wanted, it's probably in the local system, or at least for Hurston. Alright, that was just telling me I was exiting Quantum Drive. I was trying to figure out what was talking for a second there. Anyway, back here. If it says bounty assignment, it's coming from North Rock Service Group, and that can literally be anywhere. Now you notice that we have 2,500 for the CS3 bounties. So given the choice, I'm going to go with the ones that are being offered in system. North Rock can be anywhere in the system. And, well, time is money, right? Now, because it's CS2, there may be minimal support, which means there will probably be 2 ships. So I will always grab a mercenary mission called Call to Arms, which is basically bonuses for killing non-objective ships. And the higher the crime stat of the ship, the higher the reward. Of course, what they don't tell you is that the higher the crime stat, usually the nastier the ship is flying. Now I get a quantum beacon to my target. This one will be around Aberdeen. So I've set my destination, spool up my quantum drive. It'll only be 0.62 of my fuel, so clearly I can fly in this ship all over Hurston without causing any real drain to my fuel, and still have plenty to get back to a landing area that will hopefully allow me to refuel. Hopefully being the key word. I really thought they had solved that, but lately landing on pads seems to be a problem again. Don't know what it is. Maybe it's server related. Don't know. That is a mystery for developers to work out. Because I sure can't.
Quantum drive is now off.
Okay, so incidentally, when I mentioned the guns on the Aurora, I have 4 guns on it, but when you get the ship originally, you will only have 2 guns. So you'll have to purchase the other 2 guns. And maybe also the gimbals, maybe not. I really can't remember off the top of my head. But having the 4 guns is a big deal because that allows you to take down opponents a lot faster. And when you're doing bounty missions, speed is the name of the game. You want to be able to take out as expensive a contract as possible, as fast as possible. You've got 1 axis for profit and 1 axis for time, and you want to even things out. I am currently on basically turret mode, which means if I move around here, and my guns seem to have swapped to a weapon group again. Must have been when I was rearming. But you saw that it was following my cursor, which is great if I have a really good aim, but I don't. So I'm going to switch. If I hit the toggle, I'm in fixed, which is basically right in front of me. And I'm going to do auto gimbal. You can see that little circle I've got around there now. Targeting, go on target, ping. I'll ping him, alright. Ping him with bullets. The auto gimbals mean that it's going to fire more or less forward, but not exactly. They will try to track the target. The keyword here is try. When I get the blue circle, that means I can start opening fire. You can see the crosshairs indicating that I'm landing hits. Or you could just look at the shields on the display there. One second here, I fear to be getting spam calls. Stand by.
Shields max.
Okay, spam calls will always be with us. In the meantime, I'm still being shot at by an annoying target, so... Luckily it's a Mustang. That means I'm usually not having to worry about missiles going up my hind end. I must have hit an engine or something. Oops, he is not moving. Which is kind of surprising. unfortunately, it's also potentially really dangerous for me because I can't go head on it. Now, there's a couple of different flight modes involved here. Right now, I'm flying coupled, which means I fly like you would think a plane would fly, or you would expect off of, what you would see on countless science fiction movies, Star Wars being most prominent with their X-Wings. Basically, continuous thrust. Well, that's what the cruise controls for us anyway. If I turn, I'm going to have the engines kind of make me more or less curve in my path within the maneuverability of the ship, of course. But I can also fly decoupled. You'll see on my HUD down there, I just got what looks like a little paperclip kind of thing. And you'll notice that there's a cursor on the screen there with an up arrow right now. That is indicating my direction, where my velocity is aiming. So I can actually turn myself around and shoot behind me, and you can see I've got this basically an opposing kind of a rounded square with an arrow gets down. So that tells me the direction I'm facing, I'm going backwards. So if I'm center up here, I'm aiming perfectly behind me. If I flip myself back around, I'm perfectly ahead of me. Now this can come in handy for some fights where you're being pursued by somebody and you just go into decoupled mode, flip yourself around, and while they're trying to catch up with you, you're riddling them with bullets or whatever the heck they use to fill up the ballistic weapons. I'm going to put myself back in coupled mode though, which will change things up. You really can't afterburner, and I don't think it decoupled. Well, let's try that. Nope, no afterburner. It's basically forward thrust. Oh, okay, if you have your forward thrust going, active, then you can afterburner. You learn something new every day. Now the red on the left, I feel compelled to mention, that is not a red line kind of thing. Okay, it is a red line kind of thing, but it's not quite a red line kind of thing. You can still accelerate way beyond standard combat maneuver speed. It's just that the faster you go, when you're in that red area, turning becomes, shall we say, challenging? That's the nice way to put it. That worked out pretty well. Why don't we do another 2? And if that goes well, we'll upgrade to a crime stat 3 and see if I can handle that in Aurora. Then we can see the other part of my stream title involving my ship blowing up. This one is around the moon of Ariel. That's going to be entertaining to see because until fairly recently, Ariel was a big trading spot because of Laranite supplies. Laranite being the most valuable and high profit stuff to transport. And a bug had somehow gotten involved with the back-end servers or something, so that it never ran out of supply. So you had traders basically loading up their huge cargo vessels, basically carrots and caterpillars, and making huge, obscene profits. Full disclosure, I made use of it myself. I did because I wanted to purchase in-game the Misk Razor and the Aegis Gladius, and I think I had, and the Aegis Avenger Warlock, because I wanted to mess around with those, and I never had. I certainly didn't save up for the preferred kind of ship I would have liked to have gotten a hold of, like Prospector. Okay, I'm going to set my gimbals on. Again, I can't hit worth a damn with the fixed weapons. Now that may get less ugly with 3.10, because 3.10 is supposed to make fixed weapons a little more user-friendly to use. I can only hope.
Quantum drive is now off.
I'm going to fly this one decoupled just to demonstrate how that would go. Right now I'm kind of approaching an oblique angle because even though my crosshairs are fixed on my target, you'll see that the little velocity area thing that I'm moving back and forth here, that's pointing me in my velocity in a different direction. So I'll be able to start shooting him. But he may have a little trouble shooting me. I'm not targeting the right guy. That's the guy I want to target. Always take out the bounties first, because that way anyone else becomes basically call of arms bonus material. It's all about the credits. Well, it's supposed to be about credits. Alright, let's open fire and open him a new one. Now you'll see he's flying by, but I'm still moving forward. Well, I'm now backwards. And I'm going to change myself up a bit. You have to be a little bit more aware on what you're doing as far as thrust and maneuvering goes on decoupling. Now, another confession here, I'm a mouse keyboard kind of guy. So, the experience that I am having may not equal the experience that folks who use one joystick in the keyboard or two joysticks, they may have different experience. Some people go all out, have pedals and joysticks, and I can't bring myself to spend all that much hardware. It was pushing it when I bought the current computer system I'm using now. One of the Dell Alienware guys. The only reason why I'm able to play this game. Alright, why don't we go after a Crime Stat 3 guy? It tells you that it will be a moderate hostile threat with multi-crew crafts and average support. So let's find out how well I can do flying this particular ship, an Aurora. Actually, I'm going to do one more thing first. I'm going to go to FotR's Harbor, and I'm going to restock, rearm, and land there. And the reason I'm going to do this is because if I have my ship blown out right now, I'm going to respawn at my last landing area, which, technically speaking, is Port Tressler back above Microtech. And then I have to make that long trip here all over again. It will probably not be shocking to hear that I'd rather not make that trip again. Not unless I have to, of course. So if I go to FotR's Harbor, I land on the landing pad there. That becomes my effective current respawn point. I mean, yes, I could technically make my respawn point the bed in the Aurora here, but on the other hand, if I get blown up, clearly that bed is not going to be available. So it'll revert back to the next available spot, which would be Port Tressler back over at Microtech. Don't want to make the long trip again, so we are going to land at FotR's Harbor. And then we will see how this slightly better than average Aurora
Quantum drive is now off.
handles a Crime Stat 3 bounty. Unfortunately, the FotR's Harbor waypoint seems to have issues, and you don't actually end up at FotR's Harbor sometimes. It's a bug. Don't go under any illusion that this game is anything but bugged. But it is also an alpha. Bugs are going to happen. Bugs are going to stay happening. And unless they're game breaking, they're going to stay bugs. The whole point of the alpha is to push development, no matter how fast or slow it may seem. which kind of brings up a interesting point of discussion about the speed of development and some issues that I can't say the backers as a whole, because for all I know it's a vocal minority. Let's just say the folks who post on Reddit and on the Spectrum forums for the game, they have some issues, so to speak, with the speed of development and the lack of information about the Squadron 42 development.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
Squadron 42 is the single-player variant of Star Citizen that is being developed in parallel with the Persistent Universe. And, well, developers have been kind of radio silent on that ever since they yanked off a roadmap that never seemed to advance. And there was talk that maybe it was because of the Crytek lawsuit that was going on. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. And it kind of came to a head recently, and there was a post put out on the Spectrum to help placate people a bit, at least the short term. How long that, how much time that buys them, don't really know. All things considered, though, I'm pretty happy with where things are at right now, as long as things keep going in a forward direction. And honestly, throughout the, I guess I could call it 7 months that I've been playing. I can call it 7 months. I feel there has been progress made.
Landing gear deployed. Landing complete.
All of Microtech is there.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Let's see if I can do anything here. No, didn't think I could. I talked about the bug. This is the bug. I should be able to access the stuff here. I can't. That's okay though, because that was not why I came here.
Takeoff complete.
Why I came here was to reset my spawn point.
Landing gear raised.
And now I can go after my true targets.
Bottom drive is
Now it has to be said that there are game mechanics that would be nice to see more of. They've done some stuff with mining, but I think that predates my arrival in the game. Most of the development that I've seen has been in the form of new locations. I don't know that I've caught all that much in the way of new mechanics while I've been playing in the time I've been here. Although certainly that will be the difference. It'll be different when 3.10 rolls out next week, probably, because then the flight model changes, targeting changes, all that stuff
bottom
changes.
drive is now off.
Maybe for the better, maybe not. There are a number of systems that I would like to see put in the next year,
Is now on.
and I think it would be a big boost to the game in general. And that is the refueling and repair
Bottom drive is now
mechanic
off.
that you'd see for things like the Starfarer. Because being able to refuel in a location that, isn't obvious on the map. Say if you have a party and someone's has a Starfarer, you would use the party marker for that pilot. Go in there and you would refuel at the Starfarer and maybe restock. I don't recall what the restocking ships are. Or repair your ship. There's a ship that's involved with repairing starships. Okay. Let's see how this bounty works out.
Bottom
And
drive
we are
is
a
now
go. This will be substantially more difficult than the Primestat 2 bounty,
Bottom drive is now off.
because they will likely have possible Cutlass Black, maybe 2, which is a medium multiplayer ship.
Radar contact.
Yep, there he is. Or maybe it's a she. It's hard to say.
Radar contact.
And there's a support ship. Okay, I've got missiles on me.
Rear shields damaged. Radar
Okay, so I'm already taking damage hits there.
front shields damaged. Port shields damaged. Rear shields
I've got missiles on me. I've got some maneuverability on my side. Unfortunately, they've got, you know, lots of shields and plenty of missiles. And my shields are going down like crazy. Not surprising, I am flying a box. I think I might have mentioned that once or twice. I'm going to lock a missile. I was going to lock a missile, but that apparently is not going to be an issue anymore. But the good news is, I planned for this. I planned. And this is where planning pays off. I'm at Everett's Harbor. I'm in the same solar system. Sorry, the same planetary system. Obviously, I'm in the same solar system. And I have plenty of other ships to try to take them on in. Now, it's a fair question to ask, would I have done better if I had a better set of shields? And the answer is, maybe. The Aurora was primarily stock equipment, and that was basically what I wanted to do. I can do plenty of CS2 missions and have no trouble. You saw that. And you could make a decent amount of bank doing that. Not huge, but it's a good break from, say, doing box deliveries all day. Box deliveries are another thing that's going to mutate dramatically with the next patch. And I have not heard too many good things about that because it sounds like it's a whole lot of effort for a lot less credit. And we have people here who seem to be having trouble remembering where they're going. Okay, let's do some work here. I'm going to claim the Gladius, because that's one of the ships I was hoping to mess around with today. However, it's not presently here. Let's claim the Aurora too. I could expedite the retrievals, the claims, get them back sooner, but I'm not in any hurry there. I might as well claim the Freelancer, seeing as that the cargo is lost. Should I try? No, not for this mission. Yeah, for this mission. Why not? I spoke of starter ships. This is the other one. Mustang Alpha. The Mustang Alpha. I'm naming the bloody. The Mustang Alpha is a pure fighter. And I'm going to admit right off the bat that I have upgraded this ship somewhat. It was using weapons that I was not fond of, and I'm pretty sure they were fixed weapons. I don't expect to do any better in this ship than I did with the Aurora. But you never know, so let's give it a spin. The worst that can happen is I blow up and I end up here again. Now when you look at the Mustang Aurora, it looks like a fighter. Now, an additional little note here. You can open up a cargo bay. This is not the same thing as being able to do box deliveries. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure what this stuff is here because I'm pretty sure this was empty. Or it's been empty. But it means that if you want to do some cargo delivery for that colossal 3 standard cargo units, you could. You wouldn't make a whole lot of bank out of it, but if you're at an outpost and you're repairing your ship and all that, why not grab some cargo and make some extra cash on the side? Of course, it's also possible that you might be able to fit some drugs in there.
Your journey begins now. All
Profit
systems
margins will be a little
operational.
higher there too, but drug running is not something I've tried much of in this game. Maybe when the next patch rolls around, it'll be easier for me to do criminal activity because then I won't have to worry about fighting my good reputation. For multifunctional displays, none of them are currently set to deal with little things like communications. And technically, I don't even have to do this. I just am.
You are clear to launch.
Launch complete.
Now, when I bring the landing gear down, one of the wings come up.
Thank you, and please visit again.
It's hard to get a good look at how the ship is because, you know, I'm on the dark side of the moon, so to speak. That's not really true. I'm really at the dark side of the planet. Things will be a little bit easier when I'm quantuming
Quantum
away
travel
from the planet.
engaged.
There we go. Ooh, too bright. So you can see I'm clearly flying a ship that looks like a fighter. Not a box. As far as weapons go, I am currently set up with a pair of laser cannons and a pair of neutron cannons. They're all auto cannons. They're different sizes, I think, though. But I was mixing and matching. I did not do anything with the shields,
Quantum travel complete.
but hopefully this will turn out to be less excruciating. I thought I'd got myself set to my quantum beacon when I did the when I set my route before, but I guess I
Quantum
didn't.
travel engaged.
Once again, I'm going to try flying this decoupled because this is a light fighter and therefore should be able to handle things like maneuverability. Whether or not that is the case
Quantum
remains to be
travel
seen.
complete.
I do have the weapons gimbaled. Let me rephrase that. I have at least one of the weapons gimbaled. Let's take a look at the loadout manager and see what I've done. Gimbal. Ooh, oh, well, these guys are on a turret, so they're not, while they're not technically gimbaled, it's close enough for government work. Wrong button there. Who put the escape key so close to my F1 key anyway? So here we go. Take 2 against these guys. Flying a starter ship with
Quantum travel
some
engaged.
upgrades. It is not hard to get the money you need to do the
Quantum
upgrades
travel
I've got,
complete.
particularly since I haven't done that much in the way of upgrades.
Contact.
That's an important thing to know when you're starting out.
Contact.
Okay, there's that Cutlass Black. If I'm really lucky, they haven't magically restocked their missiles. Now you'll notice that the weapons I've got right now are a much slower rate of fire. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Front shield.
Well, the amazing thing is I'm still alive. I really did not expect to still be breathing after that one.
Shields at full strength.
asteroid. I do seem to be causing damage. That's good news. The bad news is, I'm taking a substantial amount of damage.
Has been destroyed.
Well, the good news, again, is my primary target is gone, which means everybody else is great.
Charging. Shield at full strength.
Bad news is I am still in lousy shape. And this M50 is a pretty fast target. I'm landing hits, but I'm not doing it consistently enough. There we go. One more target, Drake Buccaneer. Okay, that's a guy who actually has, you know, durability. The M50 Interceptor, it's fast, it's maneuverable, but
Destroyed.
oh, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Okay, I have taken revenge for the loss of my Aurora, but revenge has come at a bitter cost, because my Alpha is, well, let's take a look. I've got pieces that are no longer attached. But all the weapons still seem to be there. Mostly. Reminds me of a scene in The Phantom Menace when little Anakin Skywalker was talking about having trouble with his speeder, having damaged his speeder or something along his pod racer. He's saying, hey, I saved it, mostly. Anderson. We'll go to Anderson. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to land there and repair and maybe even restock, refuel this Mustang. I spoke earlier about the axis of time and profit. As you saw, this mission had more profit, but it took substantially longer in time. The key is to get to the ideal situation where your time is low and the profit is high. You're not likely to have that kind of situation happen, or flying a starter ship. That's the way it is. Alright, let's... One of the nice things about the game is it does have a day-night cycle. One of the ugly things about the game is that it has a day-night cycle. Because then you have to start being able to fly and land in the dark. Now the good news, though, is you do have one tool that makes it bearable. The headlight. So hopefully, in theory, when I get close to the ground, which will be happening at almost any time now since I'm 1,600 meters above the ground. Oh, okay, there's the flashing lights there that tell me that landing location is ahead. I'm going to cut down my cruise control, which is basically forward thrust and speed I tell it to. Start manually tapping things around. I'm going to try to go to the smaller landing pad, in deference to people with larger ships that may or may not want to land here.
Proximity alert. Deck.
Drop the landing gear.
Landing gear engaged.
Auto land if I can. Okay,
Proximity alert. Deck. Automated landing engaged.
there we go.
Landing complete.
Let's see if I can do any repair work here. I can. So we'll do repairs first. See if it'll reattach, you know, missing parts. And I think it did. Good work, guys. Now I'll take care of the rest involving restocking fuel and weapons. Not too expensive, you know, it's like, what, less than 25 credits worth? I didn't expect to have a whole lot of quantum fuel used. And hydrogen fuel I just wanted to recharge while I could. Since I am here, I'm going to step outside and I'm going to see if I can actually put anything in this cargo bay. If nothing else, it'll tell me if I have anything in this cargo bay. I better move it too. You'll notice on the lower left, I have a survival estimate of under 10 minutes. That's because it is freaking hot out here. I could use an undersuit to deal with this. There's an undersuit and helmet called the Pembroke, I think, that I have. That allows me to pretty much stand out in scorching heat for extended periods of time with no fear of harm. Okay, what looks nice here? Gold. And I was mistaken. We have 4 standard cargo units, not 3 to play with in this ship. Now, you might not be surprised to hear that this will not get me a huge amount of profit anywhere. I could go to Loreville, sell this profit off. I'll get bumptious. I'll make back what I paid and a bit more. But that's it. And hey, that's okay. The Mustang is not a delivery ship. It is not a cargo ship. It's a light fighter with some freight capability. That's it. Now, if I were doing drugs, the profit margins would be better, but I would have to actually go to a location that made the drugs. But those don't tend to be on the map unless you have a mission to do at something in those illegal locations. And I've been too much of a goody two-shoes in this patch to have that problem. Now, when 310 rolls around, chances are all my reputations will be reset. And I might decide to take a walk on the dark side a bit. Be a bad guy. Or at least try to be. I'm more of a smuggler than a pirate. But you never know. You never know. Okay. Got another Crime Stat 2 wanted here. So we'll run that particular bounty, then we'll head back to Port Everest and grab a different ship. I had not intended on using the Aurora or the Mustang today, but the opportunity came out and I wanted to show that, yes, you can do stuff in a light fighter, or more specifically, the starting fighters in this game.
Quantum travel complete.
That being doomed to use an Aurora or a Mustang does not mean you are doomed to mediocrity forever. Now, all that said, you will want to upgrade those ships at some point. But you'll be able to do so in-game.
Quantum travel engaged.
It took me about a week to get 100k, and that's 100k in profit. That's including outfitting the upgraded weapons and gimbals and stuff. It was over 100k in profit in a week. That means 2 months, possibly sooner, depending on how many hours you spend playing the game. You'll easily be able to make 1 million credits in 2 months. And if you can make 1 million credits, you can start going for different ships, larger ships.
Quantum travel
And this is, you know,
complete.
if you're doing everything solo too. You know, if you have, you know, buddies in the org or something like that who will take you along for higher profit missions, well, you can end up making the money a lot faster. Everything I'm talking about right now is basically solo work.
Quantum travel engaged.
It can be done. A couple months, you can get one of the Aegis Avenger ships, whichever one floats your boat.
Quantum travel complete.
Interdiction, transport. For a bit more, you can start upgrading to a different light fighter, like, say, the Arrow or the Gladius.
Quantum travel engaged.
The really big ships, well, let's be honest, they're going to take a lot of time to do because, you know, it only starts going higher from there.
Quantum travel complete.
Best to think of them as long-term projects. The problem with long-term projects is, well, game persistence. Like I said, money may or may not persist. Last time they said that money would persist, I lost 700,000 credits. Obviously, I'm not going to lose that much this time. I've only got, you know, 234,000.
Contact.
Let me throw the gimbals on. So we'll see if I still have any of that money when the patch comes in.
Contact.
It'll be interesting to see what else I might or might not keep. It would be nice if I kept the ships I purchased in game, but I'm not counting on it. Just got hit by a missile. On the right side, I just turned the guy into glass.
Left shield.
And it's an interceptor, I figured it would be.
Message destroyed. Shield at full strength.
Worked out pretty decent, didn't it? Oh! A little too cocky for my own good there. Almost ended up pounding myself into a rock. Let's get myself facing an area that's not going to immediately pulverize me. And that way I can get myself set for a return to Everest Harbor. And hopefully, the Gladius will be ready by then. Depending on who you ask, the Gladius may be the best light ship in the game right now.
Quantum travel engaged.
I like the Arrow. I prefer flying the Arrow. But the Gladius, from a raw statistics point of
Quantum
view,
travel complete.
is probably better. It's got more shielding. Its weapons are pretty good. Its maneuverability and speed are
Engaged.
in the top 2 in either category. You do a search on YouTube, you'll find people who can give you better comparisons and analysis on that sort of thing. But in my hands, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. They're roughly the same. And if they're roughly the same, I'm prefer the one that looks cooler. And for me, that's the Arrow. On the other hand, the Gladius is something I've picked up with in-game credits. And because of that, I have no idea if it's still going to be around in my inventory
Quantum
when
travel complete.
the 3.10 patch lands. Where did that... There we go. Stupid Everest Harbor waypoints. So I may not have the Gladius much longer. That's the long and short. And if I'm not going to have it much longer, then why not enjoy using it while I've got it? Here, I'm going to crank up the speed a bit so I can get myself to landing position sooner. Set comms so that I can contact them once I'm in range, after I theoretically slow myself down. See how slow the the velocity indicator is? That's because of my high rate of speed. If I pass the red light kind of thing.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
I hesitate to call them air brakes because, you know, space. Okay, honestly, the velocity thing is moving not exactly fast now either. It may become more apparent when the new flight model kicks in. Oh, and I have a neighbor on the other side. No biggie, he's not hostile. That's all that matters to me.
Engaged.
Alright, coming in for landing.
Proximity alert. Front.
Ooh, too much of a landing.
Automated
That was
landing
close.
engaged. Landing complete.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Just for giggles. Oh. Like I said, it's very inconsistent as to whether or not this stuff works. I'm not sure if it has to do with the pad, if it has to do with the server, if it has to do with Mars aligning with Venus. Who knows? Certainly not I.
Engine systems disabled.
Okay, we're gonna power everything off so I don't get a crazy parking violation. I don't expect to have it out here long enough to get one, but just in case, I have been wrong before. One of these days, there will be some sort of indicator that will tell you what pad you've actually landed on. I keep saying I'll gladly spend that 200,000 AUEC I have to spring for a can of paint. My hope is that one of these days these elevator buttons will be replaced by the elevator buttons they have in Microtech, which will tell you where you are in addition to what floors are available. I'm hoping desperately this happens. It looked like it was going to be on the roadmap for a while, but then it went away. So God only knows when it'll happen. But I want them there so bad. Alright, Gladius should be available, and it is. So let's pull that out. It's likely going to be on the same pad I just landed on. It looks like it based on the indicator, but it's kind of hard to tell for certain. And it looks like it's going to... the screen here is going to glitch on me, even though they pulled it out. They say it didn't, but it did. Pad 3. So let's go to pad 3 and hop on board. Now the Gladius is a pure light fighter, which means it has no cargo bay. There's no room for any boxes for box delivery. It is basically a seek and destroy sort of ship. But since it is a light fighter, that means it does not require much to kill it. So, as with most light fighters, your biggest defense is don't get hit. No fancy folding wings on this. I have no idea what that thing on the bottom is. I see that all the time on here. It drives me nuts. I feel like it should be something, but I'll be damned if I know what it is. Let's climb aboard. Unlike just about every other ship on here, when you go to flight ready status, you actually are moving around to hit buttons and all that to turn things on. I think that is cool. I wish they would have done that for the other ships. I don't know why they didn't. Well, I do know why they didn't. Programming time, priorities, all that stuff. But I would really love to see that in the other ships. Alright, bounty hunting contracts. We've got another... Oh, that's North Rock. Oh, we have a couple players who are targets. Hint for traders. If you're on a server and you want to know if there's bad people around, check the bounty hunter contracts first and see if there's any players listed. They're the ones that don't have a CS next to them. You can tell how bad they are by the amount of money that's being listed. Some of them bounties can get up to 20,000 AUEC. I'm not sure what the range is right now. It changed at some point. But I am more interested in the locals. And I'm again grabbing a CS3. That may or may not be a smart move because I haven't had nearly as much practice in the Gladius as I have in Euro, and even in Euro sometimes it's a little dicey. I'm going to hop over briefly to my weapons and make sure that all my weapons are on the same weapons group. I'm using a trio of Scorpions. I was originally going with a stock loadout, but I've changed things up a bit.
Launch complete.
Also, you'll notice the heads-up display is a different variety than what's in the Aurora or on the Mustang. Apparently, I forgot to set my target here. There we go. Now, I believe that every ship in 310 is going to revert to this style of heads-up display. I'm not 100% certain on that, but leading indicators say yes. Now, at one point, devs have indicated that they would really like to have each manufacturer have their own different heads-up display. That would be nice, but that's kind of gravy. And honestly, it's probably going to be one of the simpler things to do as far as code work goes in comparison with all the other stuff they do in these games. That kind of thing can wait. It'll take a little bit of getting used to.
Quantum travel complete.
Now, as with the Mustang, I'm going to be flying this in decoupled mode.
Quantum travel.
With any luck, the ballistics will do decent against whatever my opponent is. If I'm lucky, it'll be a group of Buccaneers, which are bad, but not horrible. But it also could be a pair of Cutlass Blacks, which would be really rough. Because they are well armed and have missiles. I did take the time to throw gimbals on this. I don't believe it had gimbals originally, but I've already spoken about my inability to fire fixed. If I can get to the point with the new patch of being able to use fixed weapons in a decent manner,
Quantum travel.
I may yank out the gimbals and replace them. Well, presuming I can actually do that on this, if I still have the Gladius. Yank out the gimbals and put in the bigger weapons. See, part of the trade-off of gimbaled weapons is that it requires you to have the gimbal equal to the hard point size, but the weapon will be one size lower. Whereas if you didn't have the gimbal, it would be the size of the hardpoint. So right now I'm using size 2 weapons on a size 3 gimbal. Ordinarily, the gimbals are filling spots that would be covered by size 3 weapons. And it's a Cutlass Black. I was afraid of that. And a Buccaneer, so far. If that's all I have to deal with, I will be thrilled. But I'd be willing to bet that I'll have other problems en route. Sound ballistic weapons hitting their targets. Oh, there's the missiles I was expecting. And there goes some of those shields. And hits on my hull. Let's hope that doesn't last.
Shields recharging. Shields up.
Whoa.
Proximity alert. Yeah.
That's one of the problems with the desync in this game sometimes. That ships jump around. Whoa! I'm cutting a little too close for this guy. Not liking the look of that.
Head shield under fire. Shield up. Rear shield under fire.
Oh, hurry up and blow up.
Shields up.
He maneuvers pretty good, I'll give him that.
Kill. Head shield under fire.
And you know what? He wasn't my target, which means I didn't make any profit on him. Oh, that stings. I'm gonna take it out on this guy now. Ordinarily, it's the Cutlass that's the main target, so I was completely thrown off. Hey, Vicin, welcome to my stream. Cutlass Black is fairly easy. They only have one shield generator. The only one? I haven't really looked at the stats all that much on the Cutlasses, so I'm never 100% sure. I'm currently flying a Gladius with a yellow jacket ballistic repeaters.
Proximity alert. Head. Proximity alert. Starboard.
And I'm still kind of getting used to the whole Gladius thing. I usually fly arrows. But I'd picked this up with in-game credits not long ago, and I figured I'd give the Gladius at least one more hurrah before 3.10 rolls around. And everything changes. And by everything, it's either going to be everything in the flight model, or me not having it anymore because it's an in-game purchase. A lot's going to depend on what persists and what doesn't. I keep hearing them say that they might, that you should be able to keep your money. But they said that last time, I lost 700 AUEC, so I am dubious. Okay, we're locking in some new targets. Now that said, if I lose the 200k I've got right now, I'm not going to lose horrible amounts of sleep. But the other part of persistence is whether or not the stuff that has been bought in-game will stick around. And I'd kind of like to see them stick around. Not so much for the ships, because I can always re-earn the ships.
Quantum travel initiated.
But the Invictus Free Flight Week jacket and shirt never went up on the RSI stores, so these things are at the mercy of in-game persistence. So I'm really expecting that by this time next week I'm going to look at the clothing I have and the Invictus jacket and shirt will no longer be around. Or the cap. I think there was a cap too. I can't remember for certain. That'd be a real pity. Although I have no idea how much effort it takes to put a logo in on the clothing.
Quantum travel complete.
Not a developer and not going to pretend to be one.
Quantum travel initiated.
Okay, let's see who is at the end of the rainbow here. Good news is I don't think I really took any damage from that last fight,
Quantum
so
travel complete.
let's decouple. There's the targets, approximately. And let's see if I can remember to take out the primary target first. Also, avoid flying into rocks.
Contact.
Looking for Luca. That ain't Luca, that is. And we're in a bunch of Buccaneers. That's good. 3 Buccaneers. That is probably one of the easier CS3 bounties out there. I will be more than happy to take on Buccaneers.
Head shield under fire. Shields up. Rear shield under fire.
Not landing planes on this guy. Oh, that's a better swing.
Starboard shield under fire.
More. One thing I don't like about the Gladius is that it doesn't have any displays on the upper left and right of my screen. So I have to look at the displays on the dashboard, for lack of a better phrase. And sometimes that goes away when you're maneuvering your ship around a little too much. You can't really tell how much damage you're doing. Of course, it might just be that I have lousy peripheral vision. Oh yeah, keep it up, keep it up. Get a little closer before I open up again. You know, I think I might have wiped out his engines because he's not... Well, he's going nowhere now. That leaves the last Buccaneer. I am wondering if these guys have engine problems or if something happens when their primary bounty is gone. Or maybe they're just lousy pilots. Alright, we're going to take one more stop at Everest and swap out ships again. Because I would be remiss if I didn't swing the arrow into all of this. Now, I have not had what you would call great luck doing crime stat 4 bounties in a light fighter. Whether it's because of ammo, opposing ammo, not my ammo, or number of opponents, or just bad luck. Fighting a Valkyrie and Gladius or Arrow has been difficult. And maybe it has to do with my ship loadout too. I have not gone heavy onto the whole meta thing. And there may be better weapons I could use.
Quantum travel.
Certainly better shields. Probably. So if I end up doing a crime stat 4 bounty 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to take my freelancer. freelancer shields can handle this, and the weapons will certainly do the job.
Travel complete.
Flying into the sun. Pull some keys there. Hate flying into the sun because it's difficult to see sometimes where the landing areas are. It's not horrible right now, though. I seem to be making the just right approach. At least that's what I'm going to tell myself. Okay, closing in on transmission range. In fact, there we are. Open the communications.
Please proceed to assigned landing bay.
And let's see where the landing bay is. The answer is clearly not here. One day, I will memorize all the possible landing pads. Of course, by that time, they'll have Pyro out as a solar system, and I'll have to work on those too. Drop landing gear, cut speed. Maybe not that far.
Landing gear deployed. Proximity alert. Head.
Too close.
Proximity
Too close.
alert. Deck. Automated landing.
There we go.
Late.
As for giggles, let's see if I can get this thing repaired and restocked. Nope.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.
Engines offline.
Off we go. So this has really turned out to be a Light Fighter Expo afternoon. So far, I've done some of these bounties with the Aurora MR, some with the Mustang Alpha. We've just done the Gladius. And that'll lead us to the Arrow. Or I could fly the other light ship that I have that is likely to go away with the next patch because it was purchased with in-game credits. That may be a smarter idea. After all, who knows when the opportunity will come by again. The ship I speak of is the Aegis Avenger Warlock. Billed as an interceptor. And the unique thing about the Warlock over the other Avenger variants is that it has an EMP attached to it, which theoretically will make another pilot's life a living hell. That's the theory, however, I'm not 100% certain that's how solid that is. Because the EMP, I'm not 100% certain if it takes out shields or if it takes out systems. I've seen kind of both happen. This would be my most recent in-game acquisition, so I've spent even less time with this than I have with the Gladius. But it deserves some time in the sun. 'Cause, 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 'cause why not give it a little bit of a spin here today? Every time I see the Avenger series, I can't help but think that this is the kind of ship NASA would make. It just has a space shuttle-y kind of look. Now back here, in other variants, we have a cargo area, but back here instead, we have the EMP chamber, which apparently you can't put cargo into. Although you probably could put a box for box deliveries. On the other hand, if you're doing a box delivery, there are better places to put that. I can't seem to find the close button. There we are. Unlike the other Avenger variants, you cannot get to the cockpit through the back end, so you have to go in through the front end. The front end exists on all the variants as far as I'm aware. And conveniently, there is a back area I was just talking about. This would be where I would be putting boxes if I could. I'd put them back in here. Ordinarily, this door would open to the back, but there's an EMP generator in the way, so... And it's got a bed for logging out in space, if that's what you want to do. Okay, let's have a sit down. Turn everything on.
Aegis Combat Assist activated. Systems.
Now,
green.
something that Aegis seems to do a lot of are these 2D radars, which I'm not a fan of. I'm going to set this display here for... Well, actually, that's... Yeah, I'm going to set it like it is right now. The right mouse button is keyed to the EMP generator.
Launch complete.
Oops. My God, what have I done? Oh, that was exciting. I had to swing myself around. Sorry, throat. Alright, let's take it out.
Thank you, and please visit again.
We're going to do another Crime Stat 3 bounty, which I've never done in this ship. And considering that I haven't done any equipment upgrades, that's going to make this really, really interesting.
Landing gear retracted.
And by interesting, it could be, oh god, we're all going to die.
Quantum travel initiated.
It is a little slower than quantum. As far as guns go, it's kind of a mix. Got some auto cannons, got a repeater. So we've got a mix of ballistic and energy weapons here. And that's before we throw the EMP into the whole mix.
Quantum travel complete.
That EMP could prove to be pretty important as far as the strategy here goes, because, well, if I can keep multiple people from firing at me at once,
Quantum travel.
that would be a good thing.
Quantum travel complete.
I may stick on coupled mode here, though. I am not in love with the maneuverability of this ship. But to be fair, it was never really marketed as being high maneuverability. Let's get the gimbals on.
Quantum travel initiated.
And while I'm at it, let us activate the EMP generator. Apparently it sucks down a large chunk of power. So it usually defaults to off. Let's start charging it up. Yeah, take a look at that. Even the look of the ship screams space shuttle to me. EMP generator is up, armed, and ready to roll. The only thing I need now are my targets. As usual, the primary is my, well, when I do it right, as usual, the primary is bounty. Unfortunately, I can never remember what the range on the EMP generator is, so I generally just assume it's close. Okay, I seem to have broken the guy's shields badly. Ooh, yes indeed.
Shields recharging. Shields up.
Now, this guy's shields didn't get hit very hard, it seems. That's okay, he wasn't primary. This guy's shields are still up. I have to say, this worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I could probably restart the EMP now, but, well, at this point, why bother with all the targets gone? I seem to have taken some damage on the ship. Yep, lost that fin. But I don't believe it has caused me any major issues. So let's grab another. See if we can prove that wasn't just a fluke. And again, I'm pretty sure I'm using the default layout for the Warlock. I don't think I had the opportunity to change any of the weapons or anything like that. So
Quantum travel initiated.
that was a pretty respectable start for the whole mess. Now there's a lot of folks who use the Titan Avenger as their alternative starter ship. It's slightly more expensive to buy on RSI store than the Mustang or the Aurora, but it seems to do a lot better. Has a bit more cargo space, still has the amenities of the Aurora. There are some folks I see on various forums and on Reddit who will swear by the Titan Avenger. Avenger Titan. It's Avenger Titan. I always get that backwards. Sometimes these guys put way too many names on their ships.
Quantum travel complete.
Alright, looks like I'm gonna have to hit a... You know, I see this sometimes. I'm never 100% what it is. I have a quantum beacon to nowhere. And I can't target it to go to. But there it is, it exists. Something that says quantum beacon. I want to say that it's a relic from the Invictus Flight Week. But I can't prove it. It drives me nuts sometimes. And since I can't see it on the star map, I can't set a route to it. Let me rephrase that. I don't think I can set it on the star map. I can see it on the star map. Okay, yeah, and here we are. It looks like it's pointed at the space station here. At Olisar. At Olisar? That can't be right, but it is. I didn't think the Invictus fleet went to Olisar, but maybe it did. In any event, it is substantially further away than I'm really prepared to go at the moment, and by the time I get there, it is very likely to be gone.
Quantum travel complete.
So the mystery remains a mystery. Start charging up that EMP. Hey, if you've got the weapon, it'd be foolish not to make use of it.
Contact. Contact.
That's not my target. That is my target. Get those gimbals set. Because, you know, I suck. Close distance a bit. Again, I'm not 100% certain what the range on the EMP is, so I'm going to wait till they're at least... Now looks like a good time.
Head shield under fire.
Oh yeah, his shields are gone. If I can land some hits on him, he won't last long. This guy seems to have weathered it a little bit better though. I have to admit that I'm not 100% my rate of fire has gone down, but I have a sneaking feeling that's probably because of the EMP generator. The EMP generator is sucking down a lot of power, so I could probably do overclocking, but oh, speaking of the EMP generator, I've got it back online. So I'm going to toy with my target a little bit. Looks like my power supply is definitely not going to fly here. Well, I will just have to content myself then with filling him full of holes until he blows up. Alright, let's turn off the EMP. And let's take a look at the damage my ship has sustained. Usually you can tell this by going into your power and looking at the individual items. Well, if the MFDs are working, you can do that. Alright. Rather than risk the annoyance... Let's get ourselves centered again. Instead of risking the annoyance of going to Everest and finding out that, oops, landing pad won't let me repair there either. Let's see if I can take care of things here on the moon. HDMS Han will have a landing pad to work with. The question mark is whether or not I will be able to engage and repair, restock, refuel there. Sometimes you can, sometimes not so much. As of yet, I still have not been able to find a rhyme or a reason behind why some landing pads and some ships will cooperate with each other, and some don't. want to set my route again so I can get a general idea of where my target is. Because from this distance away, I can't see where I'm going. If I move off a bit, I could end up way off course, go right past the outpost, and generally make a huge embarrassment out of myself. I am smoking here, literally. But on the bright side, there's nothing on fire. Yet. There's nothing on fire yet. Alright, we'll drop the landing gear. The fun thing about the landing gear here is this guy uses the wheeled landing gear. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the standard landing procedure I do on every other ship. If I find it interesting, that it's there.
Proximity alert. Head.
I am not low enough for auto land.
Deck automated landing initiated.
And now I am.
Landing complete.
Of course, that may have been a mistake because, you know, the whole hover thing. Excellent. Let's do the repair first. Repair is the priority. Then I can worry about everything else. Just in case, you know, missiles or something went with it. I don't recall this having any missiles. That said, I haven't been paying that close attention either. Now we can do the thing with a restock. While I was doing that, can I get back here and see the missiles? No, I'm still bugged out there. I'm pretty sure this doesn't have missiles.
Hydrogen fuel at 100%. Launch complete.
Now, unfortunately, I have wheels, but I can't go horizontal from the stop with the wheels on.
Landing
That
gear
feels wrong.
rejected.
But, you know, what can you do? What can you do? Okay, well, I see we are hitting the 3 o'clock Eastern hour, which is the general end point set for my schedule here. So I'm going to get us, actually, you know what? I don't even have to wait that long. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit one of the orbital markers, if I can, which will put me high enough that I will not be in atmosphere or in the gravity well, which means that when I get out of my seat, I will not immediately start falling back down to the moon or to the planet or where have you. The moon in this case.
Complete.
And I can log into bed. Which is about as nice and convenient a location as to wrap things up as anywhere else. Sit back, relax, enjoy. And there we are, there's the log out button. And that'll be it for today's stream of Star Citizen for me. I hope you enjoyed the show, this little unintended expo of light fighter craft in Star Citizen, and hopefully you can see that even the starter ships are worth using. Not too hard to upgrade them to the point where they're actually useful. Make a decent amount of credit on them. As always, the next scheduled stream will be on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern, where I will be streaming the continuing adventures of my Romulan character in Star Trek Online. And next Sunday, return to Star Citizen, and we will be doing, well, hopefully something interesting, especially since 3.10 should be published by then. And the starting time on that will be 1 p.m. Eastern to approximately 3 p.m. Eastern. As always, the times are subject to change, especially with the Star Citizen one, because I'm not 100% certain that Sunday afternoon is going to be the final afternoon target for the stream. I keep looking at Saturday afternoon, and I keep considering that. But I'm in no particular hurry to change. For now, Sunday's doing just fine. Thank you for watching. This is Korath Landwalker, signing off.